Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and service company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see your founder at least twice a day. Guys, he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase with Picatinny rail adapters so you can mount it to any standard AR-15 like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more and see me shooting a flamethrower. And lastly, trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button and tell your friends and enemies, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have the very last Ford Focus ST rolling off the assembly line in Europe. This is one of the best hot hatches ever. Goes to the graveyard. Now, this is brought to us by TheDrive.com, specifically Adam Eastmail, who's a contributing writer over there. And for once, I don't have to give you a visual disclaimer about the automotive part of the podcast because, well, at least to me, the Ford Focus ST, I think it looks kind of cool. Now, again, this is credited to Adam, and he says, quote, "The very last Ford Focus ST has rolled off the assembly line. Pour one out for Ford's true sports car for the working class, which ended production last week." Here you can see the last generation of the Ford Focus ST, which unfortunately we were robbed of because Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford Motor Company, thought, why keep importing cars in the United States? We're just going to do trucks and crossovers, which, yes, those are much more profitable for the business, but these are a fun way to get into the brand and such a fun hot hatch. It's so sad we didn't get the last generation in the United States. And they have some fun, cool colors. Like that one's a nice little blue. Even seen a green one from time to time. But I digress. Now they say, quote, "The death of Ford's passenger cars in North America was swift. After the company announced the end of the Fiesta and Focus in 2018, the Fiesta soldiered in the States for one more model year, while the Focus ceased production for our market almost immediately. Overseas, both nameplates received another generation, and based on Europe's historical love of the sports car, you might have thought they last forever. But the final Ford Focus ST reportedly rolled off production line in Germany last week, marketing the close to an enduring great series of hot hatches. As you may remember, our last Ford Focus was a riot, and it was, but the fourth gen car was missed out on was something else. It developed even more power, 276 horsepower. Ooh, not too shabby. Again, these are lightweight cars. You don't need a lot of horsepower. I remember the last generation Ford Focus ST, which we did get in the United States. I believe it had 245 or 250 and pretty good torque. It was so much fun to drive. Now, they say, to be precise, it was matching the Elantra N and many great Japanese sports cars. Ford tossed in an electronic limited slip differential, further refining its fancy steering knuckle geometry that made prior iterations so intensely agile. And gifted with a turbo and anti-lag, the 6-speed manual stuck around. 3 pedals, always beautiful. The buyers could opt for 7-speed automatic. Sad to think some people would do that. This vehicle? Ugh. And it looked much nicer than North America's final ST hot hatches, with their gaping fish mouths, which people also made fun of them for kind of, if you're inebriated, perhaps almost looking like an Aston Martin from certain angles. I don't know. To me, the last generation is kind of growing on me. And for the price point now, you can get them for like $12,000 to $15,000 with a little bit of miles on them. I mean, if I had to do it all over again, I'd seriously consider one of them. Now, they say, quote, "The last example, the Ford Focus ST was finished September 26th per the photo taken from Ford Solaris plant, shared by Ford Authority. The plant is due to end production in November. The skeleton crew of 1,000 workers, and about 3,500 fewer than the factory employed until now, will supposedly remain on doing something until Ford manages to find a buyer." Here you can see the very last one. And it's not the best red. But again, looks pretty good. It's got some nice angles on there. Let me get the nice blue one back on the screen, though. That one's pretty. That's pretty cool. They say, quote, "It feels like an unfortunate, undignified end to a site and the car that meant so much to Ford enthusiasts over the last 20 years. Even more infuriating considering a recent report that the automaker is considering bringing the Fiesta and Focus back." I'm sorry, I almost threw it in my mouth. Ford Motor Company is considering bringing them back as EVs. Why would they? Just terrible. I guess they already bastardized the Mustang name. Why not do more damage? They say they might bring them back as EVs, possibly built on Volkswagen architecture for EVs, like the Ford Explorer. Now say the dirt's still warm from these cars being laid to rest, supposedly because they're such poor sellers compared to SUVs. Yet Ford's already mulling a higher price revival to trade on the goodwill of their name. Carry on. If you ever appreciated or ever owned some of these vehicles, I had a Ford Focus hot hatch in 2012 and Fiesta ST in 2017. It just makes your blood boil. And here we are, And if there's any comfort we could take, knowing that this red ST is going to put plenty of smiles on someone's face for a long time, which I hope so. But usually when it comes to the very first production of a vehicle and the very last one, I would say a lot of time they end up just going to auction for collector and just gathers dust in someone's garage, which I could appreciate museum quality work or museum, like a 0 mile car. It's a kind of it's a unique time capsule, but also the engineers made it to be driven. The assembly line workers wanted it to be taken to the track. And man, this is one of the coolest vehicles out there. Now, I actually considered getting a Ford Focus ST, the last generation, because I need a new car, or I need a car. And I decided to splurge and get one new, which hindsight don't do. And I almost got it. I test drove the Ford Focus ST, I believe that was a 2018 model year. And then I also tested the Honda Civic Si. And I'll give Ford credit. The Focus ST had more horsepower, more torque, slightly smaller. It handled a little bit better. It only came with a 6-speed manual transmission. I appreciate that kind of that enthusiast mentality, same as a Honda Civic Si as well. And truth be told, it actually drove a lot more fun than the Honda Civic Si Coupe that I ended up buying. And you could still fit a rifle case into the Ford Focus ST. I actually, well, I don't know if this is a Texas thing or an American thing, but yeah, I actually, for safety, made sure that, the sales rep didn't cry. It was an empty case. Don't get too don't get your panties in an uproar if you're international viewer, you don't have freedoms like the Second Amendment. But it's an instance where, again, it was so much more fun to drive than the Honda Civic Si. However, it is a Ford. And this is my daily driver. I got to get to work, building the company, doing drop-offs and prospecting, pounding the pavement. I ended up choosing the Honda just because, well, it's more reliable. And lo and behold, yeah, that Ford Focus ST did have an issue with the gasket being the wrong one and kind of spilling everywhere. But again, overall, that Ford did a recall. They fixed it. And they're such fun little hot hatches. Now, the issue and why you don't see a lot of American companies doing hot hatches in small vehicles, there's not a lot of profit in them. The prices are so low, they barely make any profit at all, especially because they have inflated cost of labor because they use the United Auto Workers in the United States, the UAW. So that's why you really don't see them make anything except large trucks, SUVs, and crossovers, which Americans are willing to pay $100,000 for one of those damn trucks, which blows my mind. But those have enough profit where they can afford to pay the union dues or the union inflated cost of labor with the unions. And it's one of those things where it's very hard to import these types of cars unless you have there's exemptions for show and display purposes. It would be so cool to get one of these in the United States, but yeah, it really is an end to an era. Now, again, they didn't mention this article. However, EU is cracking down heavily on any gas motor vehicle. They have a ban coming up. There are a lot of reasons why they're canceling this vehicle. And it really is a shame. These things are marvels of engineering, great track toys, great daily drivers, and I would say one of the best last kind of hoorahs for the stick shift hot hatch. The Volkswagen GTI, I mean, again, they actually did directly point out to the European Union laws. They killed that stick shift option, I believe, Q2 in 2024. So it's kind of an end to era. I'm really pessimistic. I don't think Ford will bring this back as a gas car. I think, as the article insinuates, it might come back as an EV, which, again, there are people who want EVs. That's fine. Make those cars and lose money on them. Well, you just make a new car. They just keep bastardizing these names, and I don't know. That just grinds my gears, so to say, pun moderately intended. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback. Let me know how to make sure better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, anyone, everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.